Yo, what's going on, guys? Today I'm gonna be I have to start like that, guys. Yo, what's going on, guys? Today I'm gonna be breaking down this beat I made for the music theory class. So first off, this is a remix of the song Alberto Balsalm by Aphex Twin off his album I Care Because You Do, which was released in 1995. It's a super atmospheric song with a very recognizable and catchy melody. So basically, as you can see, there's a lot that went into this beat, but I'm gonna be breaking it down in sections so that it's easier for all of you to understand. What I did before this was I remade the song itself. And I'm not going to be showing you that because that would be a whole nother video. Use my own instruments and like basically stem separated the original song so I could hear the drums and melody and bass line all on their own. And I did that in order to understand the notes that I'd be using for this. I took that original track and I duplicated it into what you see now. Then I changed the pattern and I changed the BPM. It's now a lot faster. The original song is in, I think it's 94 BPM, and this is almost double that. So yeah, let's start getting into it. In terms of the actual instrument that I used for this track, I made something that is a combination of a plastic cup and a mouth harp or a jaw harp. But yeah, this is what it looks like. It wasn't that hard to make. I'll put more information about it in the description if you're curious. The instrument was only capable of playing the note F sharp, and for music production, it's pretty tough to work with that. So especially in FL Studio. So to get around this, if your goal is to work with notes and place them onto the piano roll, you have to make sure that the default note is always at C, because if it's not at C, the piano roll is lying to you. So say you're on an F, right? Your original note is playing like a G. The note on the piano roll is not going to be playing an F. It's going to be playing like something that's a couple semitones below or above it, you know? So that's why you want it on C. It doesn't matter if your note is on like C1, C3, or C5. As long as it's C, the notes you place into the piano roll will correspond to what's being played. So how do we solve this? If you want to edit the default note of a sound, you can go to the sound itself. So let's take, this is my original pluck right here. This is tuned to C. And we can check that by right-clicking on this waveform and saying edit in pitch corrector. And now when I'm looking at this, I see the waveform goes cleanly along this C note right here. So that means it's playing a true C when I'm using this sound in the piano roll. So what I did, you know that I have the original MIDI from my remake, and now I have a C tune pluck. So I'm gonna go into the original starting melody of the song, and I brought in my pluck, my C-tune pluck, and I made this melody. So I'm gonna play it without the effects first so that you can hear it raw, and then I'll play it with the effects. And then with effects, it's gonna sound like this. So all I have is a reverb, a delay, an EQ taking off some of the high end, low end, and a compressor. Okay, so for the actual beat, my goal was to recreate the song and transform it into like a Jersey club track. And if you're not familiar with what that means, it has a signature kick and 808 pattern. You've probably heard a song that uses this, even if you're not aware of it. And I'll play that for you right now. That is the kick pattern. Yeah, it's usually fast-paced, and there will be some vocal chops, which I actually do have in here. It's meant to be danced to. Now, for the other instruments, I thought that the pluck on its own did not sound full enough. It sounded like a pretty bland melody, so I wanted to add these chords right here that are pretty melancholy. I'll let you listen. So yeah, I added those on top of the pluck, and this song is in A sharp major. We have this other, like a bell, I would call it that, and here's what that sounds like. For the drums, at the beginning, there's a sample right here from Carla, the maracas that she made. In the original song, there's also this very odd sound. This is not the original sound. This is something I got from YouTube, but it is also a chair scraping against the ground. And that basically plays at the start of, I don't know if it's every 2 or every 4 measures. Yeah, it's pretty funky. Thought it was worth including. Something that is worth mentioning is that Aphex Twin uses a lot of like real world samples in his music. and I kind of wanted to replicate that in the way that I used my own instrument as well as like sampled sounds. The beat would be very different without the vocal chop. Basically, it's from this song Tell Me When to Go by E40 and someone else. I don't really know how to say his name. I'll let the drums speak for themselves. There's also 808 pattern right here that has a pretty nice bass line that I made. It's different from the original bass line, but this is what it sounds like. Now that you have an understanding of this first section, I'm gonna let it play. It's gonna be up till right here at the end of the 16 bar.
Tell me when to go, tell me when to go, tell me when to go, tell me when to go.
Moving on to the next section. So similar to how there are distinct sections of the original track, I wanted to incorporate a similar idea by breaking it up into two specific sections that have slight differences. But the main idea is that there's an A section and a B section that the melody switches between. So now moving into the B section.
Going into this next section, right around here, we made this sound right here. It says sting bass, but it's supposed to say string bass. This is where my homemade instrument came into play. I made like an upright bass kind of sounding thing with a cardboard box and a shoestring, and I taped a contact microphone to it, which I could plug into Nick's interface to record it. This is the original sound of my string bass. Sounds like that. And then we put some effects on it to make it sound like that. There are also some plucks taken from Nick's jaw cup again. I found the C note on my string bass and used that to like put it into like a MIDI instrument, and then programmed the rest of like the melodies and stuff through that. Alright, so this chord progression here is all from my box bass instrument. So we took the C note on the instrument, turned it into a MIDI. So yeah, that's all from my string bass. It sounds different because we added a bunch of effects on it, overlaid a bunch of notes making these chords. There's also a sub bass in here. So yeah, this again is the instrument. We added some effects. Okay, so taking one single wave from the original pluck of the box bass, I turned it into a sine wave with infinite looping. Now with a sine wave, you can basically do whatever you want.
Yeah.
We wanted to change up the sound for the bass line in this section while still preserving the same notes. So here's what that sounds like.
Also in this section, there is a bit of a switch in the drums. There's a part in the original song where there's like a cymbal. It plays a lot throughout the track to kind of just like slow down the beat a little bit. This is what that sounds like. For the other drums, I want to just play everything so you can hear it all in context. Right here, it's going to be a combination of the chords and the pluck from before. It does actually still work. It's a nice way to transition back into that A section. So I'm going to play that. So that's definitely more of a relaxed, airy feel than this one. This one's kind of darker. Moving back into the A section, we get a break from the psychotic vocal chops that I did. It goes from the end of 32 all the way to the end of 56. So it's a pretty long A section, but I'm gonna play it so you guys can hear. So I guess I did kind of lie because there is a vocal chop right here, but not as much as this original one right here. So let's go back into the B section right here. It's gonna go from 56 all the way over to the end of 76. This one has a new melody right here, along with the box bass that we used before, this pink melody. This has a added lead. So in the same way you can make a bass with a sine wave, you can also make a lead. It's just about the difference in frequency. So higher frequency sine waves are gonna sound more like a lead. And this is replicating the original track. So this is what it sounds like. This is accompanying all the other instruments, and it also has whatever this is. This is also using my jaw cup. The notes may not look like how it corresponds to the sound, but that's really just because I have like a bunch of different effects on it. The main one that's making it hard to perceive the notes is this. It's called a fruity convolver, which is like a type of reverb. In the setting I have, blur pink, it just makes the waveform look like this. It's basically just noise. So it's just really heavy reverb. But that adds to that airy feeling of this B section. So here's what that all sounds like.
So basically my instrument is the glass bottle that you hear dinging in the B section of our song. I basically picked that instrument because the glass clink is a sound that I use really often in my songs, and I thought it could be useful in this song. It accompanies the cymbal that we have playing at the same time. For the last A section, we wanted to
give it the most energy to sort of finalize our song
and bring it back home into the B section. We used the most frantic vocal chops and made the whole section last longer than the A sections before it, lasting from measure 81 to 104. And this is what that sounds like.
Backwards, push, swing, punch, backwards, push, swing, punch, back. Put me in a goodies, put me in a tell it when it down. Ghost ride the wind, ghost ride the wind, ghost ride the wind, ghost ride the wind. Now scrape. Now gas break, gas break, dip.
Alright, so about this last B section here, we wanted to think about it as a song that would be played in front of people, probably like dancing, like a crowd having fun. The final B section, we needed something to kind of cool the crowd off, so it's a little bit more like low energy. This section goes from the start of 105 to the end of 125 over here. Also in this section, we use all three of the samples of my shoestring bass. One's here, and the other one is right here, and it sounds like this.
See you show your grip. Let me see you show your grip. Let me see you show your grip. Let me see you show your grip. Go stupid. Go stupid. Go.
So now for the actual recording or the rehearsal that was played a couple weeks ago, last week, I don't really remember. Like, it was unmixed, it was only a minute long, it just wasn't where it is now. In terms of notation, I would say this mess on the screen is a form of notation because you can look at it, you can click on each of the sounds. I mean, I guess you could translate that into staff notation, but I want to call this my notation. You're looking at the notes, you're looking at when they come in, when they come out, and the sound files are the same way. So that's my form of notation. Not terribly sure how you could replicate this song if you were playing like an orchestra, especially the vocal chops. That seems impossible. But if someone wanted to play this strictly on instruments, good luck.